Welcome back, everyone. It's now time to join in the next segment of our community focuses that will focus on reconfiguring the path to community success. Reconfiguring the online community ecosystem with the right tools and technologies is a strategic move for businesses and organizations seeking to thrive in the digital age. By embracing the advanced solutions and user centric approach, they can create dynamic, engaging, and future ready online community environments that foster lasting connection, drive growth, and remain relevant in the ever changing landscape. And that's exactly what our next panel discussion is about. We have another amazing panel of community thought leaders. Allow me to call on stage the moderator of this panel, Nikhil Sharma, Associate Director, Rosity Interactive. Nikhil has over 15 years of global work experience in the IT engineering field. He is responsible for executing and managing client deliveries of the web development, quality insurance, and digital marketing teams. He has a strong technical business management, client servicing, and business strategy development skills. So here's Nikhil with our next panel discussion, reconfiguring the community ecosystems with the right tools and technologies. Over to you, Nikhil.
Thank you so much, Rohit. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our event. We hope you had an amazing sessions here. We're gaining a lot of knowledge. So, moving on, creating an online community has been very highly effective strategy for business growth and majorly focusing on having a dedicated and engaged audience. So, with so many tools and platforms available, it has become easier to create dynamic online communities that are just not for the bigger brands now. And now business leaders are regularly enriching their communities with content, gamification, and various other enhancements as a part of major strategy to expand the customer base and retain their current customers. So, how do they do it? And they do it because it's a streamlined approach, and when they combine with appropriate tools and technologies, can have I would say, enormous, far-reaching effect. So, with so many tools and technologies to choose from, I would say let's not get confused, but we can really chat, discuss how do you go about selecting one that are right for you. So we will go decode it today, all this and more with our incredible, I would not say panelist, but my go-to person, I would say, and I will introduce him now, welcoming Jay Nathan, Chief Customer Officer and Executive Vice President at Higher Logic. Jay, welcome. And I would just give you a quick introduction about Jay. Jay is a business executive, best known as a co-founder for Gain, Grow, Retain Customer Success Leadership Community. He's Executive Vice President, as I mentioned, and Chief Customer Officer at Higher Logic. He has more than 20 years of experience in the software industry and has held many bigger leadership roles at prominent technology companies such as Blackboard and People Matter. Also, I had a great opportunity to meet him earlier this year, and it was an amazing meeting you, Jay. Over to you.
Yeah, you too. Great to be here, Nikhil, and thank you. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart as someone who actively tries to sell community software. So, looking forward to the discussion.
True, and I think folks listening, they closely follow you over the LinkedIn and the social medias and about your great insights. Thank you, Jay, for that. Thank you. So we can kickstart a session, reconfiguring the community ecosystem with the right tools and technology. So, and if you have any questions, please feel free to drop in the chat box or in the question answer section. So, Jay, can you please have a detailed elaboration, I would say, on significance of technologies which is nowadays in development and development of such resilient community ecosystem, and over the time it has, I would say, grown on a bigger front, as our CEO was talking about post COVID. The community platforms, the technologies has grown such in a bigger state that you really need to put in a lot of effort now.
Yeah, well, if you look at sort of the evolution of communities, especially in B2B organizations, and I would be interested for the folks watching this, if you're help me understand what kind of company you work for. Do you sell? Is it B2B technology? Is it manufacturing? What industries are you in? If you wouldn't mind just putting them in the chat, so we could see that as we talk, it'd be helpful. But yeah, if you look at the history of community, even back in like the late 90s and early 2000s, it was predominantly seen as a support deflection tool, right? And I think the big shift that's happened over the past decade and a half, since Higher Logic has been around, is that we've moved from this idea of support deflection to really full-scale engagement. And that's what we consider ourselves at Higher Logic, an engagement company. We are trying to drive engagement between a business and its customers, or an association and its members. And so everything we build and design is thinking about, okay, how do we go draw people back into the community so that they can get value out of it. So to me, the use cases have really exploded and grown. It's not just support anymore. That's still a fantastic use case, and it still provides fantastic ROI to our customers and any company that uses community as a support deflection tool. But there are so many more uses now in terms of advocacy, marketing programs to bring people in that aren't even part of your company yet. And when you have all these engagement needs, it takes additional tools to go engage with people where they are. It might be platforms like social media platforms. It might be, for example, we use a tool called Loom as part of our community stack, if you will. And what Loom allows us to do is have our CSMs and our support people create videos of themselves that they can send to all of their customers. So we're trying to get the world to be thinking about customer success strategy in your customer engagement strategy as a one-to-many first strategy versus a one-to-one strategy. And so all these tools have to come together to have the data in the right place and be able to drive that kind of engagement back into the community hub for our customers.
Right, totally agreed. And as you know, that technology these days plays an indispensable role in this community ecosystem. You need to have enabled connectivity. You have to have collaborated members. You have the better communication. Make sure that your message is rightly passed on, and also the infrastructure that the online communities have to thrive on. Make sure the engagement is fostered and the exchange of information is such that people get to know and they are very much connected with one product that they are aligned with. And also one more line here, Jay, that technologies, I would say, if you choose the right platform or you choose the right technology, it facilitates the backend, the data analysis and insights, that what you can enhance out of a community. It can also make the decision makers of the C-suite easier, and folks like you who are managing such bigger tools, you can really get onto that easily. And
that's a really great point, Nikhil. One of the top questions that we get asked by our prospects, specifically those who don't have communities yet, is what's the ROI of this thing? And so to be able to map usage and engagement in terms of monthly active users, discussions that are happening, content that's being consumed, events that are being attended, that's all really important data to be able to tell a story that you need to tell to show the ROI of what this engagement strategy does for your business.
Absolutely, Jay. So moving on, Jay, I think as you know that when you choose a tool and you get implemented in an organization, the change is not quite, I would say, acted upon quickly, and it's not easy to accept. So how can organizations ensure that there's a seamless transition and the adaptation process for both the members as well as the administrator while implementing the new tools in their online community ecosystem, in their organizations? How can they ensure that?
Yeah, this is a great question, and it really is. It comes down to what we call change management, right? In the product management kind of parlance. But one of the things that we do with our customers at Higher Logic is, if they're launching a new community or if they're migrating to our platform from another one, which often happens, then we encourage our customers to launch a early adopter program where you take your most engaged members of your community and you bring them over first. You let them help test it. You let them give you feedback on the organization structure. They seed it with content, so it's not a ghost town when people show up the first time. There's something there. So that's an approach that we've defined and honed over 15 years of building hundreds and thousands of communities for and with our customers. But the thing to keep in mind is people don't tear down what they help create. And so if you can get that small group of advocates involved in helping to design and build the community, they're going to help you promote it. They're going to want to see it succeed as well. So that's a real simple one that I always recommend that folks do, whether or not it's a new community or a new segment that you're going after in your community or you're migrating communities. Besides that, it's really a matter of training. I mean, admins, they will get used to the tools usually pretty easily. They're used to working with these types of tools. But in terms of teaching the broader general population of users how to use the community, it's really a matter of pointing people to the community in all of your outbound communications, whether it's a product update that's going out from your product team, push them back into the community to actually read that content. You got to tell them where to go in the community, help them understand how to use that resource and market it actively. So it's not something that's done once and it's done. This is an ongoing thing. If you want people to leverage this as a resource and it'd be a very valuable resource for you, then you have to look at it cross-functionally. First of all, it's not one department owns it, but it's a company-wide benefit serving all of your customers. And so you have to treat it that way. You have to get people engaged internally. So, but the big thing is just change management, thinking through how you're going to roll this out, how you're going to get early champions for it and get people to collaborate with you on creating it.
Right. And I think as we used to think about in our, whenever we used to have a change management and all. So I think the systematic approach plus how thoughtful that decision was. And I'm sure whenever the C-suite, the upper management takes a decision to have that tool implemented, they would be considering so many such nitty-gritties to make sure that it is well accepted. And
right.
Also making sure that people can really have the most of the benefits out of it.
That's right. One of the other very common questions that we get during the sales cycle is how do I make sure this thing is going to be successful if they've never done it before? And everything we're talking about is just a way to ensure success when you go to deploy something like this.
True, absolutely. So moving on to the next quick question here, Jay. I think the technological innovations, I think it's been humongous, and it's happening every quarter. You have new technologies coming up, and as you see that the community platforms are so many and so big that now everyone is willing to put on some investment there with the technological advancement. So how can we harness this innovation to make sure that our members' experience over the online community is elevated? They have the best part to be used for these members.
Yeah, I think so. We have to remember that when you're building community, you're actually building a resource that is meant to help people in some way. And there's a human connection element of it, right? We all know that instinctively, being involved with communities, that if you can create connections between individuals, that's how you win. So my whole point in saying that is, yes, we have a lot of technology available to us. Higher Logic, we ship a lot of technology that allows you to do engagement activities with your community. But at the end of the day, it's really about the thought process behind all those efforts, the way that you're trying to connect people, the programs that you're running, the information that you're providing, how helpful you're being in the content that you deliver to your target audiences. So, I think first and foremost, we just cannot lose sight of that, because if we lose sight of that, it doesn't matter how much technology we have, it's not going to do that job for us, which is to actually create things that people find helpful and useful so that they continue to come back and engage with your brand through this wonderful resource that you now have called the customer community. So that would be my first thing. But the second thing, I guess, is, with these tools, you've got, I mentioned the video tool earlier. We've got event platforms like AirMeet, which is fantastic. You've got your backend CRM system, your marketing automation tools, the tools in the community that send out notifications and digests and get people to re-engage with the content that's happening there. Everything that goes into these tools needs to be thought of outside in, right? From the customer's perspective first, and then implemented in the tools. So that's my push to everyone on this call is don't lose the ability to don't mistake the ability to do a lot of things for your customers in multiple different channels for something that's going to be effective. It might be efficient, but it might not be effective. So you have to think about your words. You have to think about the message that you're trying to send and the channels that you're sending it on. The one other piece of this is, often I've mentioned a lot of different tools there, but then there are also other communication platforms out there. Social media is a great example. That's part of your community as well. They might not be signed up and engaged in your community from day to day, but there's no reason your content can't go out to those channels and engage folks where they are. So that's the other thing, is think about where your audience is and build content, build tools to engage them where they are. Don't expect them all to have to come to you, because you're still going to get the impact. You're just trying to keep yourself salient in the customer and the users aware of who you are and the value that they have access to.
Rightly said. I think there was one very good word that phrase that you, effective communication, and making sure that your communication is not diversified in different angles, but only from one channel, which makes it's more of a personalized effect for all the folks that are getting your community access. Rightly
Right.
said. I think, and the tools which are these days over and over years have modified for personalization, for content creation, for making it more personalized, gamification as such. And this makes the community's ecosystem more stronger and gives the value that you really want to share with the members of organization, I would say.
Yeah, don't. The other thing to consider here too is don't mistake personalization for sending something that feels personal, because anybody can substitute your first name in. Like that's not personal to me, right? Just because you put my name in it doesn't make it personal. What did you know about me? And this is where AI can come in and play a really interesting role too, right? What do you know about me? How do you craft a message that feels very personal to me at scale? That's sort of the next frontier, I think, of the technologies that we have access to and what AI is going to give us the capability to do in the future.
True. So just a quick thing. So are you a pro AI for communities?
Pro AI? I didn't know you had to be one or the other. So, but yeah, I'm definitely pro AI in communities, but it has to be done in a tasteful and thoughtful way. We just had a demo day with our Higher Logic Vanilla engineering team, and we've been doing a lot of prototyping on different AI capabilities, and it's going to make some day-to-day things just a lot simpler, a lot easier to consume the information that is available in our communities. But when we think about our product and the technology that we deliver to help build communities, we think about 3 pillars. Pillar number 1 is driving engagement. We need to get people back into these communities so that they can offer the value that they've got in them. So engagement tools. Number 2 is making life easier for a community manager to drive the platform and to utilize it for the outcomes that they're looking to get. And then number 3 is the ability to measure that, back to what you mentioned at the top of the call, which is, what do our reporting tools allow? How do we teach you to go correlate that data with your revenue information so that you can tell if there's a correlation or if you've made an influence on revenue or cost in some way. So if you look across those 3 pillars, there's a lot of different ways that AI is going to play a role in helping deliver those outcomes. But AI on its own, I think we have to be really careful for AI for the sake of AI, which I see a lot of right now, and I'm sure everyone on this call does too. But the real value of AI is how does it speed up the use cases that somebody has to do manually today. And we're not trying to get rid of the people. We're trying to get rid of the mundane work that the people are doing so that they can do higher level tasks, more valuable things in these communities to drive engagement with our brand and with our products.
True, man. Absolutely true, Jay. And with this, I think once AI comes in, so the data security and privacy, which also comes by, to make sure that these are the two major concern, I would say, the people today have. And any measures do you think that once we are integrating or adapting new technologies into the online community, so do you think that we should be more careful about?
Oh, absolutely. Like being on the seeing the sales side of a software company, if you've got exposure to that, you'll know that like 50% of any enterprise software deal is really spent scrutinizing security and scrutinizing data protection and scrutinizing legal terms as it relates to all of that. So yes, companies should be very careful with this. And in fact, that's why we are taking a very measured approach to how we're introducing AI into our products, because we're creating a framework for the legal and the data protection elements first, and then we're building capabilities within that framework so that we know when we ship AI capabilities to our customers, you're going to know exactly what it does, and you're going to know exactly where your data is going and where it's not. Because that's the big risk here, is that you give away your IP and it ends up in some large language model, accessed via a chatbot that now gives that information to your competitors, right? That's the last thing you would want in a B2B or B2C kind of scenario. So we're being very, very careful with that, the way we provision infrastructure for it, the way we firewall and ring fence that information, that data, and the choices that we're making in terms of whether to actually train a model or use an off-the-shelf model like GPT-4 from OpenAI, which is our methodology. So there's so much to that. We could probably have a whole conversation just on data protection and InfoSec.
True. And I think more than minimizing the risk of data breach and legal consequences that you mentioned, that having a due diligence, and I think for communities to build a trust is more, and people would really get to know that if this platform is such and such certified, they have better firewalls, they have a great infrastructure, so the trust automatically generates, and people would really trust you. That's wonderfully said.
If I could make one more comment on that, there's an aspect of community software which is a little bit different than some other types of software that a company might buy. So if I buy a CRM system, for example, my employees are the ones using that software, right? So we can control what they put into it. Community is a little different. You're buying software from Higher Logic in this case, where your customers are going to be the end users of that product. And so it's really important in a community to understand how the end user terms flow into the terms of how into the terms between the companies that are doing business together, like for us and our customers versus the end user terms, because those end user terms are going to say things like, you can't put personally identifiable information in here. You should not put HIPAA or sensitive medical information in this community about yourself, right? And so that's the kind of thing that, as you think about the whole legal structure behind the agreements around community engagement, data protection, and data management, it's those kind of things that we often spend a lot of time in the sales cycle working with prospects so that they understand how our community works, our expectations of how they use the community, and how their customers will use the community.
So expectation matching is the bigger task, I would say.
Exactly.
Great. And I would say just getting to conclusion of this session, what best practices do you think, Jay, that an organization should follow while not only selecting, but making sure that the management after the selection of the tool implementing is easy, and it's always, I would say, ongoing as a success model for their community. It's just not getting it and implementing and just forget it, but to manage also. So what should be the best practices? Couple of things.
Well, I've got two that come to mind. One is, and neither one of them are really technical, but they will make or break your ability to launch and run an amazing community. Getting the whole organization involved in some way, shape, or form. Having a tiger team internally that understands the vision of your community and understands that they need to engage with it just as much as the community manager needs to engage with the community is really, really critical. And so in a tech company, which I see many folks here are in HR tech and fintech, cybersecurity, all B2B, having your product team engaged so they get these insights, your customer marketing team, your customer success team. Communities are a great way to scale customer success. Obviously, your support team creating content. So a community manager's core job is to keep the entire organization engaged in the community so that there's a lot of value there for your customers when they come to your community. So that's number one. And then, number two is I would say always be measuring and trying new things, listening to what your customers are saying, implementing their feedback and telling them what you did, right? Show them the improvements. So it's really, a lot of this is communication. And that's, that's what we're all trying to do with our communities is communicate and engage. And you do that by, being very clear about what it is you're trying to accomplish, getting feedback and implementing it, and then keep refining. Don't ever stop. To your point, these things are not static.
True, absolutely. And as rightly said, effective communication is the key, and with the comprehensive approach. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much. Good to see y'all.